Oh, Magic 8 Ball, are all my predictions for the October SAT correct? It is certain. Hey guys, Laura here with STP. Today I'm channeling my inner fortune teller and I'm bringing to you my top 8 predictions for the October SAT. My trusty Magic 8 Ball has confirmed that all my predictions are accurate, so you are in the right place. By the time you're done watching this video, you will be able to snatch a fly out of the palm of my hand, you SAT ninja. But seriously, I'm here to help you outsmart this test and reach your goal. Please comment below and let me know what score you are aiming for on this October test. Oh, Magic 8 Ball, should the viewer watching this video subscribe to my channel? Most definitely. Heads up guys, I have linked a document in the description below with all the questions I'm going to cover today so that you can download it and work alongside me. All right, are you ready? Let's dive in. All right, guys, so this predictions video is supercharged with some of the hardest math questions that I think are going to show up on your test. If you're wanting English help, then my next video, the last minute tips, is going to cover a ton of English strategies. So just watch out for that. That's coming out next week. Let's get started with the first problem, which is a percent problem relating different constants with each other. What's really cool is you can actually do this whole problem with Desmos, and I'm so excited to show you guys how. So the problem says the mass of object A is 350% of the mass of object B. The mass of object A is 0.08% of the mass of object C. If the mass of object C is P% of the mass of object B, what is the value of P over 1,000? Okay, so for this problem, you actually can create a list in Desmos, and Desmos will solve the whole thing for you. So let's first map this out. They said A is 350% of B. They also said A is 0.08% of C. And then they said C is P% of B. Okay, let me show you how to enter this in as a list. So what I'm going to do to create a list in Desmos is I'm going to open up brackets and I'm going to map A, and then they defined A again, and then they defined C. Now I'm going to close those brackets and I'm going to use a little tilde, kind of like how we do a regression. And then on the other side, I'm going to map what they're equal to. So I'm going to open up another set of brackets and I'm going to write 350% of B, then a comma. And then I'm going to write 0.08% of, C. And then they said C is P% of B. And then I'm going to close the brackets. Now take a look at this. They give me the A, the B, the C, and the P. Everything is done for you. No need to write out equations and solve algebraically. Desmos can do all these problems for you. Now they wanted the value of P over 1,000, so on the next line I'm going to type P divided by 1,000, and the answer is 437.5. So that's basically what I will fill in as my answer, and then I'm moving on. All right, if you're finding this video helpful so far, show me some love, hit the like button below. Let's go to problem 2. Okay, my next prediction is that you're going to be able to run an autoregression at least once on your test. I'm giving you an example that also deals with a transformation. It's actually a vertical translation because they gave us values of X and Y, and they said that the table shows the corresponding values where Y equals f of X plus 3. So you need to understand how a translation works. If we're adding 3 to the Y, because f of X means Y, that means we're moving it up 3. So if they want to know the y-intercept of f of x, we have to move it back down 3 to solve. So I'm going to change my y values by subtracting 3 from each one to move it back down. And then I'm going to put this table in and run an auto-regression because they said it's a quadratic, so it'll be an auto-quadratic regression. So first things first, I typed in the word table, it popped up, and now I'm going to enter my values. And I'm going to hit this little button under the number 1 off to the side that will cause an auto regression to happen. I'm going to select quadratic. And as you can see, it gives me the equation of the quadratic. They want the y-intercept, so your c value in standard form is always the y-intercept, so I can clearly see from this equation that the y-intercept is going to be negative 418. All right, my third prediction is that you're going to have a tough geometry problem dealing with slant height. It's been coming up often on the SAT regarding pyramids, but I could see them throwing in a curveball and doing slant height off of a cone. So we have, the problem says a right circular cone has a volume of 1024 pi. Okay, first things first, we know we're dealing with a right circular cone and we're dealing with volume. So you can go to the reference table in Bluebook to see what the volume of a cone is, and it's V equals 1/3 pi r squared h. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute in my values. So essentially the volume is 1024 pi, and that equals 1/3. Now pi r squared is the base because the base is the circle. So I'm going to put 256 pi in for pi r squared, and we are solving for h. Now, if I end up multiplying both sides by 3, I end up getting 3,000 something. 3,072 pi. That'll cancel out the 1/3. And then I have equals 256 pi times h. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by 256 pi. That'll cancel. So that makes h 12. So it's really important on these questions to draw a picture. So on your scrap paper, I would say go ahead and draw the cone. It looks something like this. And now we know that the height is 12. So from the top to the center of the circle, it's going to be 12. The slant height is really your hypotenuse when you basically make a right triangle. So that's what we're going to be solving for. We still need to get the radius to get the other leg of the right triangle. So how do we get the radius? Well, we go back to the fact that the area was 256 pi. That equals pi r squared. So r squared equals 256. That means r equals 16. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in right here. And then it's simple Pythagorean theorem, 12 squared plus 16 squared equals x squared. I'll just do it in Desmos to make it easier instead of solving it by hand. So I'm going to put in 12 squared plus 16 squared. And instead of putting equals r squared, because if you use any letters other than x, it won't solve it for you. It'll try to create a slider. I'm just going to change it to an x squared so I can see it show up on the graph and I can get the value. So as you can see, x is 20. That means the radius is 20. So we're going to go ahead and, oh, not the radius, sorry. That means the slant height is 20. So your answer is C, 20. So just be careful with slant height. When you get the actual height of the prism, that's not the answer. You then make a right triangle and you're looking for the hypotenuse. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared is going to come into play.
Breaking news.
So on Saturday, September 27th from 12 to 2 Eastern, I'm holding an advanced review crash course for the October SAT. I'm going to cover all the tips and tricks and strategies for the English modules, especially to help you save time on that really tough module 2. And I've also hand-selected really hard math questions. They have a high probability of showing up on the October test. I've created notes for this 2-hour crash course. We're going to record the session and give you guys a recording afterwards. No worries if you didn't watch this video until after September 27th. You can still register and purchase the recording and the notes after the event. So to register, head to our website, strategictestprep.com/events. You will see it's the first thing listed. Click the button and go ahead and fill out your info. I hope to see you guys there. All right, let's get to the predictions. All right, my fourth prediction for you, this comes up so much on the test. I think you're going to have to interpret an exponential growth or decay question. This one is a growth because this number inside the parentheses is greater than 1. So I can already tell that that's a 24% growth because we're adding 24% onto 100%. Your 36 is your initial amount. And then the exponent deals with time. Now, what's really cool about these is you can actually use Desmos for these as well by defining the function and then doing what they want you to do. Because in this case, they want to increase x by 10 to see what the percent increase is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set x to be 0, and then I'm going to set x to be 10. And I'm going to see the value, how the value of the function changes, and then use the percent change formula. The percent change formula is the new value minus the old value over the old value times 100. So let me show you guys how it works in Desmos. It's really cool. All right, first things first, I'm going to type in the function and define it for Desmos. Okay, great. Now that Desmos knows the function, I'm going to tell Desmos to solve for f of 0 for me. So when x is 0, we get 36. Now I'm going to tell Desmos to solve for f of 10. When x is 10, we get 55.3536. Now I'm going to do the percent change formula. So I'm going to copy this value, or I could just type it in. It's not really cooperating today. So I'm going to do that minus the 36. And what I'm going to do is divide it by 36. Remember, new minus old over old. And then I'll just multiply it by 100. So it looks like the percent increase when x goes from 0 to 10 is 53.76%. So far in this video, if there's anything I can impress upon you, let Desmos do a lot of the heavy lifting on these math problems. The more you can rely on Desmos to do the calculations for you, the more you can mitigate careless mistakes. Because I know for me, the more stuff I do on my scrap paper, the more likely it is I'm going to make an error somewhere. Now, the key is you just want to make sure that you type everything into Desmos accurately, because if you accidentally type something wrong into Desmos, well, then that's how you can make a careless mistake too. All right, problem number 5. This comes up quite a bit where they ask for the greatest possible value of b. So they're going to give you a crazy polynomial. This one says 27x to the 18th plus bx to the 9th plus 70. And then they said a factor to the given, sorry, this shouldn't say quadratic, it should just say function, is px to the 9th plus q. What is the greatest possible value of b? Well, very simple, guys, and I just want you to remember this. Let's just keep it simple. All you need to do is you take the two outside numbers, multiply them together, and then add 1. Okay, that's it. So in Desmos, I'm going to do that right now. I've got 27 times 70 plus 1. I get 1891. So just remember that. No need to stress it. I could explain to you why that is, but at this point, the test is coming up. It's not really worth it to worry and fret about the why. Just know that's what you do. Take the outside numbers, multiply them, add 1. You will get the right answer every single time. All right, my 6th problem is another interpreting an exponential growth equation, but it deals this time not with using Desmos, but with just looking at it conceptually and being able to determine what the proper exponent needs to be based on the wording. So essentially, it says it increases by 120%. So we do want a value that's 2.2, because remember, if it's an increase of 120%, we're adding it on to 100%. So we really have 220%. So I'm going to get rid of C and D because these just show an increase of 20%. Next, it's a matter of figuring out, do I need to divide the t by 3 or multiply the t by 3? So it says every 3 hours. Now, when you have language that says every blank, you need to divide because it only happens once every 3 hours. So I'm going to go with A because in this case, you need t over 3 because it only happens every 3 hours. So just be ready for that. All right, my 7th prediction is that you will have a triangle proof. And, you know, the key is one of the Roman numerals they give you will likely be the ambiguous case. The ambiguous case is angle, side, side, or side, side, angle. Spells a naughty word in English. So you want to avoid that. So my first, I guess, tip for you when you get to a question like this is to draw a picture. So they say in triangle BCD and triangle FGH. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to make two triangles right now. I usually make them right triangles because they're easy to draw, but they didn't say that they're right triangles, but I just draw them that way just because it's easier for me. FGH. They said BC and FG each have a side length of 7. Okay, let me put that in. So we've got 7 and 7. Angles B and F each have an angle measure of 130. Okay, so we know that this is congruent to that. Which of the following additional pieces of information are sufficient to prove that they're congruent? Okay, let's run through each answer choice. The measures of angles C and D are equal. Well, these are both in the same triangle BCD. So if they give you an option where the two things that they're providing are in the same triangle, you can't prove congruency with the other triangle. So Roman numeral 1 is out. Number 2, we have the lengths of sides BD and FH are equal. Okay, so BD is here. Wait. Let's fix that. BD is here. FH is here. What would happen? Well, we're going to have side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. Side, angle, side is a viable way to prove congruency. So Roman numeral 2 checks. Okay, let me erase some of this stuff so we can try Roman numeral 3. We have the lengths of sides CD and GH are equal. Okay, let's give that one a try. So we've got CD and GH are equal. Well, now look at what happens. We have the ambiguous case. Angle, side, side. Angle, side, side. So because it's the ambiguous case, we don't want that. No. Roman numeral 3 doesn't work. So our answer is going to be just saying 2 is sufficient, 1 and 3 are not. All right, my 8th prediction for you is that you're going to have a trig problem where you're going to have to set up the equation. And let me tell you something, my students have the toughest time with these trig problems because you have to construct it yourself. So let me run you through how you're going to do this. It says, which expression represents the length of line segment EF? Okay, if we're trying to solve for EF, I'm going to make that X, okay? Now, as you can see from all the answers, they're going from reference angle 75, which makes sense because it's the only angle provided. So we're literally going from this angle. So I need to figure out what trig function I have to use with that angle. If I have an adjacent side and I have the hypotenuse, the trig function for that is going to be cosine. We have adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay. So let's set it up essentially. We're going to take the cosine of the angle 75 degrees, and then that's going to end up being the adjacent, which is 9 over the hypotenuse x. That's how you set up the equation. Now we're going to solve for x. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x. I have x cosine 75 equals 9. I'll divide both sides by cosine 75. And that's what x equals, so we're done. So I have to pick option B. Obviously, when you figure out what trig function you need, if you have adjacent hypotenuse, you can cross off C and D right away and you have a 50-50. So if you do struggle to figure out how to set up the equation, you have a 50% chance of getting it right. Just guess A or B. I find more often than not on these questions, a fraction ends up being right. So I would guess B if you are desperate. All right, guys, now that we have peered into the SAT future together, I hope you feel much more confident headed into the October test. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, make sure to comment below fly snatcher so I know you are ride or die with me today. Now, if you like this video and you found it super helpful, I have an amazing tutor team and you can work with us directly. We have classes coming up. We have one-on-one tutoring. So head to our website, strategictestprep.com, and you can request a consultation. I'll link it up here right now. Good luck, everyone, and I'll see you next week for a last-minute tips video featuring a lot of English questions. See you soon. Oh, Magic 8 Ball, what module will I do the best on the October SAT? The snack break between the English and the math modules?